Hey everyone, I hope everyone is doing well. I wanted to create this video to go over the exam changes for AP United States History. There was a big conference yesterday with the College Board and the director of the AP program to kind of discuss their mindset and what they've done as far as the exams as a whole. And then today is when they actually release the specific information in regards to rubrics and exam styles for all the AP exams. So um, I watched and participated in the big webinar last night. And then today I've been going through the exam changes, making sure I'm, as the instructor, feeling good about them and understanding them. And then based on what they've published, I thought I'd create this little presentation so I can kind of give you what I think is the most important stuff, where we kind of sit right now, and kind of steps going into the break time, and then up until when we actually take the exam. So I hope you find this incredibly helpful and incredibly informative, because, again, obviously, this is a big, big change that's undergone. I want to start by providing kind of an overview. I think being an AP student means we value reason and rationale and logic a little bit. And AP has provided a lot of rationale and reasoning for what they've done. So I wanted to share that with you so you can kind of understand their mindset and their perspective going through this really extraordinary time. As everything was going on, AP seriously contemplated canceling all of the exams for the 2020 cycle and basically just saying, all right, that's it. The major reason they did not had to do with input from students. And obviously, AP cannot collect data from every single AP student, but they take sample data, representative data, and based on the surveys they did from students, 91% of those that were surveyed still wanted to take the AP exams. That's an overwhelming number. It's actually it actually seemed surprising to me, and actually the College Board agreed that that seemed astronomically high, but that's very promising, and that's really good. Students also have the ability to give additional information, kind of why they want to take the exam or those things like that. And some of the things students said is that they still have worked super hard in the course. And I think that's the case for every single one of you. You've worked very hard, so you definitely deserve this opportunity to still take the exam and get credit. Some students mentioned that basically they felt as if everything had been taken away from them. So this is something, please don't take away. Kind of sad, but again, that's true. This shouldn't be something to be taken away. And then obviously the big thing that comes as a result of this is that students still wanted to achieve college credit. And isn't that the ultimate goal of kind of AP, passing the exam so you're at least eligible for college credit? So because of that, AP decided to continue with the exams, but make sure they were altered to give everyone a fair chance. So when AP was deciding basically what to do, they were really eager to kind of think about the obviously current situation and what to do. So this we already knew, but the exams were going to be at home. Okay, so because of that, that really is so much different than the traditional style. So what exactly needs to happen to make sure that the AP tests are fair and equitable? So um, this obviously is only for some students, but there are AP students that get accommodations for extra time. The good news is that on the AP exams, all students that have already gotten that accommodation, it's going to be automatically added to the test. So that's good news, all right, and that's something that is really important, and that's something that AP is already taken care of. So, okay, check. Next, device accommodations. Okay, first off, we're now been in online learning for like 3 weeks. You have a device that you've been using. If for some reason you do not have a device, let me know like immediately. I don't think this is a problem for anyone. I haven't heard it being a problem, and everyone's been completing their work, so I don't think this is a big deal. But AP basically for students across the country is actually going to provide devices for people that do not have access to them, which is really nice thing that they're doing. Also, it kind of showed the versatility here. The exam can be done really on any electronic device. So it can be done on a tablet, like an iPad or whatever. It can be done on a laptop, desktop. It can even be done on a phone. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later on, but it's meant basically to accommodate that sort of thing. The other thing that AP is saying is one of the reasons they decided to make the exam only 45 minutes for each subject is because if a student is, for example, taking the exam on their phone and maybe they have a limited data, 45 minutes is not going to suck into that too bad. So I thought that was very thoughtful and very considerate of advanced placement. And again, making the exams as fair and equitable as possible. The other good news is that if you remember, this was way back, I think in September or October, we registered together. And the good news is the registration's already done. All right, so we don't need to worry about that. In addition, one of the things AP said was they wanted counselors to worry about kind of the other things going on with students, not all the work that goes into scheduling exams and proctors and all that kind of stuff. So, these are all considerations that have come into place. One of the biggest things I want to say here, and this I put in all caps because I've been hearing a lot of mutterances around this, not necessarily with yourselves, but around kind of the academic community, which is that, 45-minute exam. How would colleges ever accept that for college credit? They're not going to accept that. Wrong. Very wrong. Colleges are very accepting of the new test administration. Before they release the test to the educators and to the students, they've already been talking with colleges. They've already been talking with universities. They've told them what they're doing, and the colleges and universities are saying, yes, we accept this, we understand this. We're still going to give the college credit for the 3, 4, 5. Okay, so again, their policies are not necessarily changing because of that. So I really want to stress this. What that also means, though, is that the exam's still going to be challenging. All right, the idea that just because it's 45 minutes and it's at home, it's going to be a cakewalk. Not necessarily at all. So we really want to make sure that we acknowledge that because colleges are going to still give college credit based on these exams. So they still will be rigorous and challenging, just in a different kind of way. Another huge factor, and it's definitely something you've probably thought about, something I was definitely thinking about, is exam integrity. How are you going to make sure that kids don't cheat if they're at home and there's nobody watching them? If you've taken an AP exam before, or even the PSAT or SAT, you got to take off. You can't have your phone on you, and there's all these regulations, and it's like you can't even talk with other people. Well, it's like, how are they going to do that here? Well, the quick answer is it's a lot harder, okay? Because they can't go to your home and be watching you, making sure you're not on Google or you're not in your textbook looking up answers. AP already acknowledges that. They understand that. They're not going to try to fight that. So really, because of that, the AP exams are open book and open source. And the reason being is because the questions that are being asked are meant to be designed so they're not necessarily Googleable, or they're not necessarily something that you can research very quickly in a textbook, find the answer. Instead, more application based. So that's the way this has been done. So for example, and again, I just included this because for me, it kind of made a lot of sense. The foreign language exams, like AP Spanish or French or something like that, the exam is going to be the speaking portion of the test because they realize that if they do like a reading or writing portion, some kid can just go into the Google Translate, get some text, and it's basically impossible to know if they did that. So in this way, they're actually going to be forced to speak, which is a big part of the exam anyway. But that's nice that that's going to be what they put into play. So I say that because I think that made a lot of sense to me. With that being said, though, AP is not going to sit by and just say, hey, cheat on these, whatever else, because there's other things that can be done that, would still be cheating and do not qualify as being okay. So AP does use plagiarism software. This is very sophisticated plagiarism software to check and make sure work is original and not necessarily copied or taken from there. The other thing, by the way, and AP does this all the time, but now more so than ever, they're really going to do this. They're going to monitor Reddit and the chat rooms and Twitter, Snapchat, social media, and be looking for suspicious things going on. And to be honest, this is something they've done in the past, and they've caught kids. So I have no doubt in my mind that they will be just as effective here, if not more so effective, because they know the temptation that's there. In order to access the exam, there's going to be a lot of questions that you have to answer, and this is identification questions, and they are meant to detect imposters. So this would be if somebody says, oh, hey, why don't you just take my exam? Somebody that's maybe taken the course before or smarter or older sibling or something like that. There's going to be things into play that are going to be able to detect that. So again, AP really going above and beyond to make sure that these tests are fair and equitable, including in this exam integrity department. Another thing that's really interesting is that for the first time, AP is actually going to release student responses to teachers. And the date they've given is May 26th. They say no later than May 26th. Well, that's powerful because obviously your teachers, including myself, know their students' work. So you're going to be able to see very quickly and very easily if something seems not correct. So that's really kind of an interesting thing to kind of consider here as well. And again, it's actually great because I'm really eager to see your responses anyway. It's one thing to ask about, how did the exam go? And you say, oh, yeah, it went fine. And you kind of explain what you wrote. But when you can actually read it, that's great. And May 26th is before the end of the year. So I'm really looking forward to that. But that's also something that's done to check for test integrity. And then the other thing is that AP uses a variety of covert methods that they do not discuss publicly to talk about ways in which they catch people that are not playing by the academic integrity rules. And those are purposely kept secret because that's one of the reasons why they're effective. The other thing that College Board says is that if you cheat on these AP exams, and of course, I don't think any of you guys will, of course, but I just think this is so interesting. They say any college that has received like your PSAT scores or SAT scores, AP scores in the past, they're going to notify these places and they're going to let them know that you cheated. So that will basically forbid you from getting into college. So point here, no games. All right, they're really not playing any games. And again, AP is through the College Board is a very sophisticated organization. They've done this type of stuff before, which a lot of people didn't realize. It's just been in more local cases in times of natural disaster or emergency or something like that. Obviously, this is the first time they're doing this on this big of a scale, but they've done this before. All right, so they know what's going on. So some of these things I'm seeing online from various organizations. Oh, everyone's going to cheat. Oh, how does AP expect kids not to cheat? No, they got some things. They got some things. I love this picture. Students taking AP exams. Maybe it looks like this. Maybe this is going to be you by yourself taking the AP exam. So consumed and really into the material. Or maybe this will be you. Some humor. Okay, so let's talk about exam scheduling because this has also changed. So here's the deal. AP wanted to give themselves more time to be able to launch out the exams and get everything together. And they realistically, it looked like we're looking to do exams closer into June. And once again, they relied on the survey data, and the survey data said that students wanted to take exams sooner rather than later. So AP, once again, had to adjust based on what students wanted. So that's beneficial and that's good. So it's still the same for each subject in the sense that there are still 2 exam dates. The first date is the primary date. That is the one that you will use. And then there's always a second date for like makeup. And again, these are extreme circumstances. With the rescheduling, there's no overlap, just like it is during the regular or during the typical administration of the test. So we're not concerned. What is different though is that the AP exams will go over a 2 week span, and there'll be three different times: 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 1 p.m. And that is because everyone on the time zone is going to be taking them at the same time. So those are the times they've given for us in the Pacific time. So there's a chance, by the way, and again, you'll have to look at the schedule, that you could have some back to back. So again, though, it's only 45 minutes, so that would still give you enough time to reassess and get ready to go for the next one. So, don't be too concerned. For our purposes for APUS, Friday, May 15th at 11 a.m. This is actually 1 week later than the original date. So that's nothing except good news for us. It just means one extra week of review, one extra week to kind of get everything together and make sure we're as prepared as we can be to do this. So that's your new date. I know back in August I said, okay, guys, May 8th, 7:45, we'll be ready. Well, things have changed. So now your new date, May 15th at 11 a.m. This, by the way, is a look at all the AP exams, so you can look at this and pause it if you want. This is also all online, by the way, but I did include it here so you can see, the various schedules. And again, you can see three different administrations in the Pacific time, which would be 9, 11, and 1. And then there's us, U.S. history, at 11 on Friday the 15th. And so if you take art history or computer science A, those are on that same day as well, but no overlap, just like would be the case. Now, with all this being said, I want to spend a few minutes talking specifically about the format of the AP US History exam. Okay, so 45 minutes. We've already established this. All the AP exam is going to be 45 minutes. What are they going to do, though? And this was really kind of perplexing to me. I said, how are they going to test all this U.S. history in just 45 minutes? AP has decided, based on what I said earlier about, open book, open source, all that kind of stuff, to do a modified DBQ. So if you recall, DBQ is supposed to take an hour in the typical AP exam. So now it's only going to be 45 minutes. So how exactly are they going to accommodate that? The main way they're going to do so is by lessening the documents. 5 documents instead of the typical 7. By the way, content-wise, the DBQ draws from 1754, which is the French and Indian War, and then can be anywhere from there all the way now to 1945 and World War II. So we don't know what exactly they're going to pick, but we have to be prepared basically for any prompt that has to deal with this. So that's an important kind of thing to consider and remember when we take the AP exam. Now, I have some images of this specifically, but I want to walk you through this so I can kind of understand, I can kind of explain to you the way the rubric is set up. So typically the AP US DBQ is out of 7 points. And you know this because I always give you back the rubric when I give you back the DBQs, and there's chalk up and I say, okay, you got this point, you didn't get this point, whatever. Okay, now they've changed it to be 10 points. So it's a little bit different. That being said, though, for the most part, the points are relatively the same. So I want to start with what is still the same. There's still 1 point given for contextualization. Okay, that's not new. That's something that's been the case forever. There's still 1 point for a specific thesis. And again, they're still grading that on the same stuff. So when I say we need specific thesis, we need a thesis that answers all parts of the question in order to get the point, that's still the same. So that should be good for us because that's what we've been practicing anyway. 1 point also given for complex understanding. This is those DBQs that really have a great grasp on the documents, great grasp on the time frame, a complex understanding of history, and an effectiveness in answering the prompt. So that's another point there. And then another point given if you can describe the content of 2 documents. So if you recall, this is like a really basic point that's also given on the typical DBQ. Basically, your ability to just describe what's said inside. All right, so those are all the same. Okay, so where are the other points coming? Well, actually, they're from the same skills. There's just some different expectations. and there's some different awarding of the points. And actually, the way in which they're going to award points now is more beneficial for you. And let me explain. So, for example, there are 2 points if you can use at least 4 of the 5 documents to support your argument. The reason why there's 2 points is, let's say if you only use 2 of the 5 documents, they'll give you 1 point. Okay, think about what this means. On the original DBQ administration and scoring, it's 1 point if you have 6 of the 7 documents. You can use you can use 6 of the 7 documents to support your argument, and it's 1 or nothing. So it's like so theoretically you could have 5 that you did well, but then you just screwed up 1 and you get now 0 points. With this structure, it actually is going to award you for what you have. So that's really good because, again, I don't think you'll have a problem using all 4 of the documents. But if for some reason you mess one up on accident, they're still going to give you a point. So that's really promising for us, and that's a really, really good thing. And that's only going to help your grade. Again, we'll get more into this, but I think here that you're only given 5. You need to use all 5. I mean, again, I kind of harp on you using all 7, but I'm a little more lenient because, hey, I get it. Maybe there's one document of the 7 that just isn't working out for you. No, here, there's 5. We're going to use all 5. Okay, in addition, you still have to do PHIA for 2 of the documents now. So it's not 3, it's 2. But same kind of thing as the other point, which is that if you only do PHIA on 1 of the document, they're still going to give you 1 point. So isn't that nice? Okay, again, trying to award you a little bit more for what you have versus what you don't. So that's very positive for us. And then the last 2 points are going to come from outside information. So same kind of thing here. This was typically something that was just 1 point, but now you're going to get 2 points. And again, this is obviously not something new. This is just another way to score it. So that's really positive for us. And again, hopefully all these things are going to make the DBQ as a tad bit more manageable, especially in that 45-minute time frame. So that's really, really good. I'm going to go over the images of the rubric with you a little bit. And again, this is me breaking it down for you. Of course, I'll send you copies. I'll post on Google Classroom so you have it as well. So these things I'm not trying to keep away from you by any means, but I did want to break it down and kind of show you the way this looks here. Because again, it is a little bit different, but we're still looking for the same stuff. So that's all good stuff. Okay, so here's this new rubric, and the way in which they've done it is they have kind of no changes, and then they have changes kind of in green and things like that. Evidence is now 5 points, but again, intermediate point here. Okay, so that's really good because that's what's happening in this regard. But you see here, thesis still point, contextualization still point. The 5 points of evidence is in regards to the ability to describe and use the information to address the arguments. The same thing that we've been seeing all before. Okay, and then again, here's your double points for your evidence beyond the documents. So 2 points possible here. And again, this is also based on what you have. So if you only have 1 point, you have 1 additional piece. But to get the 2 points, you need 2. We should be able to do this, no problem. And then here's your analysis and reasoning. Again, point of view for a historical situation, purpose, audience. And this is really nice because we just need to do this now for 2 of the documents to get the 2 points. And we're absolutely going to aim to do that. We're not going to be content with just doing 1. But if for some reason, again, you do 1 well and the next one you mess up on, at least they're going to give you 1 point. So that's very, very good. And then here's that last point. This is the complex understanding. This is the same point that is given in the typical AP administration. It just means that you really understand what you're talking about. So let's hope we can achieve this for our DBQs. Okay, so some important things to consider. And again, I've kind of said this, but now that I've walked you through this, let's talk about this. These are all the same DBQ skills that we've been doing this entire year. They're just abbreviated, all right? And some of the ways in which they're awarding points are a little bit different, but at the end of the day, it's the same skills, okay? It's the same stuff they're looking at. There's less content, obviously, but you still need to know the information. Why is that the case? Well, remember, 3 of the 10 points are coming from outside information. 2 for outside information, 1 for contextualization. Plus, I mean, hopefully you realize this, the outside information helps you understand the documents. Because if you have a good basis for the time period, then you're going to recognize the author of a document, or you're going to recognize a cartoon or something like that. And you're going to say, oh, yeah, I know exactly what this is referring to. So that all helps you out. But again, 3 of the 10 points are from stuff that you're not going to find in the document. So you need to have good feelings about what's going on and happening there. We need a review. Okay, I've been saying this for a while. You know, it's that time for us to review because you forgot what we did in August, September, which is, totally understandable. These things occur, but we just need to revise it and review it now that we're done and we're ready for the exam. And then obviously we need to get better at our DBQs. All right, so that's my goal once we come back from the break, kind of elevate our DBQs and readjust them based on this new time frame and this new use of the 5 documents and stuff like that. So I think we'll be in good shape, but we got to take this time seriously. Okay, just so you know, as far as exam, one of the things I was thinking about was that one of the weirder things about this is not necessarily going to be the format of the exam. It's going to be how to submit and all those type of things. Okay, basically, just so you know, APS says you're going to use one device to access the exam and then the same device to submit the exam. Okay, you can use 2 devices though, if, for example, and again, I need to be cautious here because you have to open up the exam and access it from the same device that you submit it with. But, like, for example, if you want to type your response on a computer, but then look at the documents on your iPad, for example, that's totally fine. Okay, there's no problems with that. You can also handwrite, your DBQ and take a picture of it at the end with your phone and then submit it. I mean, isn't that kind of interesting? Here's the deal. You need to decide your preference. Just a reminder, we were preparing to do handwritten exam, so that's what you've been doing. But if you say, listen, I'm a real fast typer and, I can have, maybe my computer, I like to type on, I'm very fast, but then on my iPad, I'm going to look at the documents. Oh, that's great. Okay, but I can't really tell you what to do with this because I feel like that'd be irresponsible because this is so new. I just don't think that'd be good. So you need to kind of think about and decide your preference. In later April, AP is going to have practice simulations on how to submit online, and actually have some things available, or at least they're going to try to, where you can test it out and you can see kind of what preference works. But even now, before you practice, you know what the DBQs look like. You know how to write them, whatever else. Think about which style you'd prefer. And so that way you can at least start to get in that mindset and kind of eliminate that unknown from the exam. Also, just something else that's going to be an adjustment as far as test is concerned, you are responsible fully for the 45-minute time frame. Okay, it's going to be all on you because you're taking this by yourself, and that's all that's going to take place. They said that in the testing format, there's going to be a timer for you to look at, and it'll be there the entire time. However, you can shut it off if it's too distracting. But again, at the end of the day, you are responsible for the time. So you just want to make sure that, that's on your radar because what AP has basically said is that if you do not submit during this given moment, you will not be able to be scored for this exam. So again, they're going to get more comfortable with it and stuff like that as these things go, but they're just, this is a brand new thing. Okay, so now that we've gone over all this stuff, I want to talk about where I think the next steps are and what I'd like you to do over the break. First off, let's review. Okay, we got to start reviewing so we can do this. And the way the DBQs have historically been done, it starts with unit 3 through 7 with AP units. That's not the same as our units necessarily. So that would start at 1754, which is the French Indian War, which was chapter 6. We did that all the way back in early September. And over break, why don't you just go through the first part of this, which is the cause of the American Revolution, the Constitution, presidency of George Washington, basically almost all the way into 1800. Then on the next week, the week of the 13th, let's do the later part of Unit 2. John Adams and whatever you still not sure about, into Jefferson, and then all the way into Andrew Jackson and those kind of new movement of democracy, the expanding democracy in the United States. Week of April 20th, let's do Unit 3, which is slavery, and then our causes of the Civil War, then Civil War, and then Reconstruction. So that'll take us to a nice spot. And then on the week of April 27th, let's do Unit 4, which was our Gilded Age unit. That included things about Gilded Age, included stuff about the Industrial Revolution, the move west, and then it looked at imperialism, as well as our 20th century progressive presidents, our Teddy Roosevelt, our Taft, and our Woodrow Wilson. And then the week after, on May 3rd, let's do Unit 5, World War I, the Great Depression, New Deal, World War II, etc. And then what I'll do is, as we go through the content, I'll weave in some DBQs in there so we can make sure that we're feeling better and more confident about those. And we can make sure that we are adapting to this similar yet new rubric. We can do this. Again, I don't think this is necessarily anything bad. I think this is all stuff that we can really excel at, and I think we can be really successful here, but we do need to realize this is still an AP exam, so we got to take this seriously, and we know it's going to be rigorous. They're not going to make this easy, all right, so we got to be prepared for that. And as always, I'm around for you with anything you need. Please, do not hesitate to email me about maybe something content-wise or whatever else. I'm here for you. So thanks as always. I hope you enjoy your break. Hope this was informative and interesting, and let's get on to passing the AP exam. Take care, everyone.